thank you very much. It's easy to support families like Spots and Boyd, who has a heart of gold, and I'm proud to say that you are in my program. Congratulations. Let's get on with this. Can we turn that off? Thank you, Melissa. Melissa and Chip, who know more about us than we know about ourselves. So thank you for that. But congrats to all the inductees, 2012 and 2013. It is quite an accomplishment, and as I was trying to exactly accept an award of this magnitude, I struggled with it because you don't become a Hall of Famer or have a successful coaching career without the help of many people. So I couldn't find a place where how do I accept an award when so many people helped me. And one that sport has given me more than I can ever give back to sport in a lifetime. I've had many life lessons through sport. Starting back in 4th grade, I guess if it weren't for my 4th grade experience, I wouldn't be in sport. But my family had moved to a little town in New Jersey, and we're in the playground, and you want to fit in, you're in a new town, and I'm in the playground, and Doreen Mancini and Roseanne Manfredi, the little popular girls in town, they're like, so, I was like, uh-oh. Are you a Democrat or a Republican? Okay, what sounds right? What sounds right? What do they want me to say? Republican. Oh, we knew it. So, I didn't even know what the words meant. And I learned at that moment on that you can define yourself or let others define you, and how words can just, words can't define you, and other people can't define you, but you will be judged. But through sports, so I gave up the cheerleading and the popular girl thing, and went on Tuesday and Thursday to play volleyball and basketball with some volunteer coaches, Kathy and Betsy. I don't even know where they are today, but they volunteered their life so that we could play every Tuesday and Thursday. And because of them, yeah, I got to play, and I fell in love with sport, and there nobody cared how tall you were, if you're a Democrat or Republican or whatever, and that's what I love about sport. When you put your uniform on, you're just a player and you're a team member. And that's one of my loves of the game and why I guess I was drawn to sport. So to try to come to grips with it all, I was like, well, let's see what the other inductees did. So I Googled Laura, and I can't believe at such a young age, she's already an athletic director. Congratulations. And Linda, of course, we know has more wins than I think everyone in the world. So congratulations. And Cheryl, anytime she does a defensive drill or anything at a clinic, I always go there. But we've traveled the world and done fun things with U.S. hockey, and I appreciate our friendship because, yeah, it's tough to have good friends when you're competing so hard. You are friends, but you're competing, and it's not always an easy situation. But Cheryl and I always find a way to go have a beer and laugh about it. And thanks for the advice on telling me to plan my retirement. Tell me that we're going to be back this summer. I was like, really? But she meant it in a good way, financially. I think. And then Catherine Brown, of course, will remember her contributions through the memories of what she brought. And thanks for that recognition for her. And Christine Grant, I did have to Google because Christine Grant was my advisor in Iowa as a graduate student. I actually sat in the classes when she was going through the AIAW NCAA antitrust lawsuit. That was actually our course. She just took us through the whole lawsuit. And she did fight tirelessly. Her life is not about field hockey. Her life is about what she did for every woman who has picked up a ball or a stick. And the woman is just incredible. She is the only woman I know to ever try to take on the NCAA, and she did it right from the start because in order for, not to bore you with history, but in order for that, the women's sports were all under AIAW, and in order for us to join the NCAA, which the NCAA was mandating that we had to, where there was penalties to the universities, the women had to give up scholarships to do it. We actually had more scholarships, right, Pam? We had to give up scholarships to join the NCAA, which was mandated that we had to do it. So she fought tooth and nail. That's not fair. So we had to ask players, please ask your parents, in order for us to compete next year, you have to give up your scholarships. I think it went from 18 to 11, or 16 to 11, something like that. So, I mean, that was just one of the issues, but she has fought for the equality, and she has taught me to fight for the quality of sport, which is a male-dominated domain in our society. unfortunately, field hockey, or fortunately or unfortunately for women, it's female-dominated in America, and the men can more appreciate probably the whole global sport situation because of the poor guys don't get to play hockey in high school, except if they're in on the ice. But with that being said, I take up Tracy's offer if you can meet the woman. She's just phenomenal, and she I feel very fortunate to have her as my advisor. And also thanks to the NFHCA. I don't know how you do it, Jen, I don't know how you do it. Create these big events, and every year make such a wonderful luncheon that captivates the audience and keeps you guys sitting here. I don't know what else is planned that you're probably missing, but thanks for staying and enduring it. I've been coming to the convention actually for 30 years, because when I started at Iowa, Judith Davidson said coaching is a career, it's a profession, and you have to treat it that way, and you have to go when there's a convention, you have to go and vote and discuss the issues to help grow the sport. So 30 plus or minus a couple of years, but what I remember way back is Ann Sage. Can everyone remember Ann Sage speaking up every year? You have to give back, you must volunteer. The youngins, it's your time to take over and do it. Every year she would say the same thing. And volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. And I really took her advice, and that's probably why I'm here now. I spent the next, I think, 11 or 12 years volunteering my life away, or that's what I thought, when my family was, and friends were building careers and families, and I was volunteering for U.S. Hockey for Futures. Yeah, back then we were going to be bankrupt, and we had to volunteer to coach Futures. And but it took me all over the world, and it didn't start with the '88 Olympics, but it led up to me managing the team, because I didn't want to be a coach. I wanted to go into the business aspect of the world, and in '86 the team asked me to serve as their manager for the next 2 years, which meant volunteering for a life. And I traveled speaking engagements in Japan and China and Holland, and just speaking on behalf of U.S. Hockey, and also washing the head coach's laundry, and so it wasn't all that glamorous. I did have a big role, but I wanted to keep him happy. You got to do what you got to do, right? And then once '88 ended, and I had received my master's actually already, and Beth Langham was going to be the coach at Iowa in '89, and I worked with her 1 year. She was the captain of the Olympic team, and everyone knows her, Hall of Famer. And I stayed with her 1 year, but then I decided, okay, it's time to get a real job. So Temple University, Charlie Theoris, Eve Atkinson from Temple called me to go to Temple, and I accepted that position. Liz Chu and Pam Busson were my first assistants. I think Pam had her undergraduate degree at that point, so she was finishing that. And we just had the best time at Temple. I mean, those kids, they taught me about heart and pride and fight. I had to break up so many fights in practice between them, fist fights, right, Liz? Get to send them around the field, talk about it, girls, talk about it, get back on the field. But they just practiced with such heart and dignity. It was just something I enjoyed, and I thought every athlete had, so I was surprised later, but I'll get to that. One of my favorite stories, we were having corner practice, and little Mo Scally, who's now a cardiologist at Penn, she was flying on the corner. She runs right into the stick stopper and knocks the stick stopper over. I go, Mo, you can't run into the stick stopper. She's like, but she's in the way. Anyway, I also had a chance to work with Tina Sloan Green. I was assistant lacrosse coach, and her message of God don't like ugly, she would tell the team every day. And shook her finger. And alcohol has everything to do with something bad, she would tell them. And Sue Stahl was the assistant too, who won a gold medal, of course, with the World Cup lacrosse team. She was the assistant, off and away in the bedroom. It was a whole different experience that lot. But I learned so much from them too, and learning how to deal with Temple and that wonderful experience I had there. MSU next. All right, so we had some success at Temple. We could never beat Penn State. There was something about that, even though Jane Kenton's there, a prolific goal scorer. We couldn't get through that one. And yes, I want to go into 100 stories, but I know you've been here. It's like flashing, they keep flashing in my brain. But we were feeling pretty confident, and when Marilyn D. Baker called from Michigan State for for that job, and I just really was trying to lobby for a full-time second assistant. And when I went to Charlie Diokis, the head at Temple, and said, okay, I got the offer, can I have a second assistant? He said, no. If the Big Ten called me, I'd be out of here. I was like, what? So there I go, back out to the tundra. I love Michigan State. They know what I'm talking about. But Pam and I were pretty confident. She came with me to take over that program. It hadn't won in many, many years. If they did RPIs, I'm not sure they were on the scale. But we were like, oh, we can do this. Well, we got there and found out every athlete doesn't have heart and drive and pride and beat each other up at practice or run people over. So what you love the most at one place, we totally missed. But we built a lot of pride at Michigan State too. Rolf and Don and Deb Utz, of course, I brought her with me from Temple to try to instill that in the Michigan State school. But they have a lot of pride now, and they're very, very successful with Ellen and Rolf's leadership that I'm totally proud of. And I guess that's all I was going to say about Michigan State, if I can remember. Oh, no, because I did have one defining moment. But as a coach, really, the team was getting ready. We had to play Ohio State for the championship. The winner won the Big Ten championship. And we did our pregame huddle, and the team's all like this, and there was just energy emanating from the team. And I just kind of stood back a little bit. It just rocked me backwards because I just had this feeling that they didn't need me anymore. And I knew I succeeded. I felt the team was so empowered to do it on their own, and they did. They went on the field and crushed, sorry, Ohio State, if you're here. They did crush Ohio State that game. The coaches admitted, what did you give them? They were just on a different world and just were focused and empowered. And that now becomes my motivation to just bring teams and empower teams to just touch their greatness for one moment in time. And I guess that's my motivation to keep coaching. When Jay Miller called from Virginia, and Cheryl, I don't know how you say it at the same school. I don't know why I got moving. But Jay Miller called to talk about Virginia, and I think Jane, we talked for 2 hours and didn't even talk about Virginia, did we? Just reminiscing. And Jane is a Hall of Fame lacrosse coach herself, and I had the fortunate opportunity to work with Craig Littlepage, John Oliver, and Jane, who are all coaches, former coaches, and former administrators. And it makes such a difference. So I appreciate that because I understand the whole process. Virginia is Jane challenged me to come play with the best in the ACC, or some of the best coaches, some of the best teams, and that's what we're trying to do. We're going through growing pains, of course, of trying to touch that greatness, but we're getting closer every day, and I couldn't be more proud of the athletes and Sean and Annie. Where's Annie? Sean and Annie, for all your help to make that happen. What's the last thing? I'm almost done. Okay, the most important thing that I would say all day, that's what Craig Littlepage told me, was to make sure I thank my family, which of course I want to do. Without you guys, yeah, you're nothing because I wouldn't be here. One, and I'm very proud that everyone came. Mom, I know nobody knows this, but my mom has this incredible inner strength and courage. At 3 years old, she was in a concentration camp and survived it. So I think she just gives us that inner drive and strength that you don't talk about, that you just live with and pass on. And my dad told me every day that you're a Madison, and because you're Madison, you can do everything. And so failure was not an option, right, Chris? We heard it every day. And a psychologist just asked me recently, where'd your confidence come from? I go, well, I guess I was told I could do anything I wanted my whole life. So thanks, Dad, for giving me that. Brothers and sisters, unconditional love. My brother's in heaven, but he's always with us. But my sisters, unconditional love. We're always there for each other, and I appreciate that. And my nieces, of course, for running my camp for me. We missed you this year. And all the assistant coaches, and just, I'm sure I forgot many, many people from all the experience I had. But I guess I can just say thank you like everybody else. It's a milestone in a coaching career. I'm coming to learn. And yeah, thank you very much.